Okay, so my name is Anca, and I'm going to be talking about how you can grab a hold of your cloud infrastructure and test it with confidence on any machine. I work for a company called LocalStack, and about 1 year ago, I made a career change and I started my journey with the cloud, particularly with AWS. So this talk will be AWS-centric. Azure people hang in there. And I'm sure you all know the feeling when you start off using cloud services and everything is overwhelming and you don't know where to start. And then you get introduced to infrastructure as code and you're like, what is this untamed jungle? And within that jungle, you will find some other monsters that will creep up in different forms, such as delays. Like when you're joining a new company, you have to wait for your developer sandbox to get set up. Or you might not get access to certain services right away when you're onboarding. You will also spend quite some time figuring out the correct configurations for your system. And we all know that spinning up resources on real cloud environments takes a lot of time, even though you might end up with shortcomings in the end. I think we've all been there. When you leave some resources running overnight and you blow up your entire budget and you get an angry email from your boss, or you over-provision due to some bad configurations, and again, you go over budget. When it comes to understanding the complexities of AWS services and how they interact with each other, that's no walk in the park, obviously, and the learning curve for infrastructure as code can be also quite steep. And in terms of security, I've seen this in different threads where people have accidentally embedded secrets like credentials or API keys into their infrastructure as code configuration files, or have done some other bad things which caused vulnerabilities down the line. So facing all of these beasts unprepared will lead to a situation such as this overly used meme, but I think it fits so well, where you sit around waiting for stuff to happen and you're not being productive. This is actually a screenshot of my cost dashboard, where you can see I went on vacation in August and I didn't clean up my resources and I came back to 120 euros in cost. If you have been working with AWS services and you destroyed them, you might know that they're not immediately released and they linger in some status for quite a few minutes, and then it's really hard to recreate them immediately after you thought you cleaned up. You might also need to master the SDK on top of mastering the AWS services. So for example, if you're doing exception handling, you need to make sure that you have the right number of retries. So what is there to do? You need some sort of tamer's toolkit, because it's dangerous to go alone. And this toolkit is basically a cloud emulator, an open source cloud emulator that ships as a Docker image. And this is pretty much the standard these days. And it integrates out of the box with all of these infrastructure provisioning tools that you've seen before in the jungle. So it's really easy to start tinkering with stuff on your local machine without the constraint of additional costs or permissions that you might need from your company. So it's really easy to get started, and then you can add an additional layer as a safety net into your continuous integration pipeline. This is how you build your confidence with testing your infrastructure provisioning. And in production, obviously, you might want to use the real AWS. This is not a real benchmark. You will soon find out why. But your feedback loops will go down in certain cases from half an hour to half a minute. And I think that's pretty darn cool to wait and see if something works or does not work. We know that you build it, you run it came out of Amazon, and the true meaning of DevOps is shifting with that, because developers are getting more empowered to participate in infrastructure and maintaining that infrastructure. And if you read the abstract, I promised a demo before I knew this would be an Ignite talk. You could follow along yourself, or you can join my second talk and we can dive more into how all of this works. And with that, I would like to thank you for coming, and thank you to the community who participated in this project, and to ChatGPT for helping me build this presentation.